The signal from the stars. Dr. Sarah Chen stared at the quantum arrays display, her coffee growing cold beside her keyboard. The signal patterns didn't make sense. As lead researcher at the Mauna Kea Deep Space Listening Post, she'd seen every kind of cosmic phenomenon over the past decade. But this was different. Maya, are you seeing this? She called to her colleague, Dr. Maya Patel, who was already hurrying over from her workstation. The quantum fluctuations on the screen pulsed in perfect mathematical sequences, too perfect to be natural. That's impossible, Maya whispered, adjusting her glasses. The array isn't even designed to detect quantum-level communications. We don't have the technology for that. Exactly. Sarah's fingers flew across the keyboard, running every validation check she could think of. Which means whoever sent this is far beyond our current capabilities. The signal had appeared simultaneously at every deep space monitoring station on Earth. From Hawaii to Chile, from Australia to South Africa. The same precise quantum pulses, bypassing all conventional communication channels. As Sarah and Maya watched, the seemingly random fluctuations began arranging themselves into recognizable patterns. It's decoding itself, Maya said, her voice filled with wonder. The signal contains its own translation matrix. The text that appeared on their screens would change everything humanity thought they knew about their place in the universe. T-Y-O-right. T-Y-A-L-E-R-T. To all Sela S12 survival worlds. FROM. The Galactic Concordate. Sela Sci-Fi. Extinction Level Emergency. Sarah read the message 3 times before its implications fully registered. The Concordat, apparently some kind of galactic governing body, was reaching out specifically to worlds like Earth. But what did they mean by Class 12 survival worlds? She didn't have to wait long for answers. The signal continued, downloading vast amounts of data into their systems. Star charts, species classifications, technological specifications, and most importantly, the reason for their desperate transmission. Sarah, Maya's voice shook as she stared at the threat assessment files. You need to see this. The images showed entire solar systems being systematically consumed by what looked like living crystals. The crystalline swarm, as the Concordat called them, were silicon-based life forms that had emerged from the heart of a dying star. They'd reproduced by consuming planetary matter and converting it into more of their crystalline mass. Conventional energy weapons proved useless. The crystals simply absorbed or reflected them, growing stronger with each attack. According to this, Sarah said, scrolling through the data, most spacefaring civilizations evolved on peaceful worlds with stable environments. They developed technology to overcome their limitations rather than adapting biologically. She paused, reading further. Earth is different. We're classified as a forbidden zone because our gravity, atmospheric pressure, temperature variations, and background radiation levels are considered lethal to most advanced species. Maya nodded slowly. We evolved to survive in conditions they consider impossible. While they used technology to avoid challenges, we adapted to overcome them. The next section of the transmission made Sarah's blood run cold. Initial casualties: 2.3 billion sentient beings across 12 star systems. Conventional defenses failing. The swarm adapts to all energy-based weapons, seeking immediate assistance from Class 12 species with experience in kinetic warfare and survival capabilities beyond standard environmental parameters. They need warriors, Maya whispered. And they're asking us because we're the monsters, Sarah finished. The ones who evolved on a world so harsh that other species marked it as forbidden. They've spent millennia becoming more civilized, more peaceful, but now they need something else. They need humans. Sarah reached for the secure quantum comm link to the United Earth Defense Council. As she initiated the connection, she couldn't help but appreciate the irony. Humanity had always looked to the stars, wondering if they were alone, hoping to find civilizations more advanced than their own. Instead, they found a galaxy full of peaceful species who had evolved past the need for warfare, and who now desperately needed humanity's primitive ability to fight and survive. The quantum link connected, and Sarah took a deep breath. "This is Dr. Sarah Chen at Mauna Kea. Get me the Defense Council. Priority Alpha." She glanced at the images of crystal ships consuming entire worlds. Tell them the galaxy is calling for help. And we're the only ones left who know how to fight." As she waited for a response, more data poured in. The crystalline swarm had already consumed 3 star systems in the past month alone. Their rate of expansion was exponential. Each world they consumed only made them stronger, larger, more unstoppable. But they had never encountered a species like humanity. They had never faced opponents who had been forged in the crucible of Earth's harsh environment, who had learned to fight and survive against impossible odds. The galaxy's most peaceful species had just called upon its most warlike, not for conquest, but for salvation. The Defense Council's response came quickly. Message received. Dr. Chen, begin full data analysis. And Dr. Chen informed the Concordat that humanity stands ready. The children of Earth will answer their call. As Sarah composed the response, she realized that humanity's greatest perceived weakness, their evolution on a death world, might just be the galaxy's last hope for survival. The age of peace was over. The time for warriors had come again. Children of the Crucible. The United Earth Defense Council chamber hummed with tension. Holographic displays showed the crystalline swarm's path of destruction, while Dr. Sarah Chen presented the Concordat's data to the assembled military and civilian leaders. Admiral Elena Rodriguez, her silver hair tight in a regulation bun, studied the tactical projections with growing concern. "Let me get this straight," the Admiral said, leaning forward. "These crystalline entities have consumed 3 entire star systems, and the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy can't stop them. Yet they're asking us for help." "More specifically," Sarah replied, "they're asking for help because we're human, because we're different." She gestured to a new hologram showing comparative planetary data. "Look at the worlds where these other species evolved. Perfect gravity, stable temperatures, minimal radiation, no predators. They never needed to adapt to harsh conditions." Colonel James Wu, head of Special Operations, nodded thoughtfully. "While we evolved on what they consider a death world. High gravity, extreme temperature variations, aggressive wildlife, natural disasters." "Exactly," Maya added, stepping forward. "The Concordat species modified their environments to suit their needs. We modified ourselves to survive whatever Earth threw at us. They're not just asking for our help. They're asking for help specifically because we're the galaxy's ultimate survivors." The chamber erupted in debate. Some argued for immediate intervention, while others warned of the risks of engaging in an interstellar war. The swarm had already proven nearly unstoppable against civilizations far more technologically advanced than Earth. "What about our weapons?" General Sarah Hayes asked, her weathered face illuminated by the holographic displays. "The Concordat data shows the swarm adapts to energy weapons, but what about good old-fashioned kinetic impact?" Sarah Chen pulled up the tactical analysis. "That's another reason they contacted us. The Concordat species abandoned physical weapons millennia ago, considering them primitive. The swarm has never encountered railguns, coil guns, or mass drivers. They've never had to defend against weapons that rely on pure kinetic energy." Admiral Rodriguez stood, silencing the chamber. "Dr. Chen, in your analysis of their data, what makes Earth so different from other worlds? Not just the environment, but us, humans ourselves." Sarah took a deep breath. "According to their xenobiologists, we're unique in several ways. Our endurance capabilities exceed any known species. We evolved as persistence hunters. Our immune systems are incredibly aggressive, able to fight off pathogens that would devastate other species. We can survive in temperature ranges that would kill most sentient beings. But most importantly," she paused, choosing her words carefully, We never lost our ability to fight. The room fell silent as Sarah continued. Other species evolved past warfare, past conflict. They created perfect, peaceful societies. But humanity, we learned to channel our aggressive instincts, to protect rather than destroy. We turned our warriors into peacekeepers, our weapons into tools of defense. We didn't evolve past fighting. We evolved to fight for the right reasons. Colonel Wu pulled up his own data. Initial analysis suggests our current military technology might actually be more effective against the swarm than the Concordat's advanced weapons. They never developed countermeasures against kinetic weapons because they never needed to. No one uses them anymore, except us. The children of Earth. Admiral Rodriguez mused, bred in gravity well nearly twice what most species consider habitable, breathing oxygen levels they consider toxic, surviving temperature swings that would kill most sentient life. And now the galaxy needs us precisely because of these primitive traits. The Admiral activated the main display, showing Earth's combined military forces. What's the status of the Phoenix Protocol? General Hayes straightened. The Deep Space Fleet is ready for deployment. 50 ships, each equipped with mass drivers and kinetic weapon systems. We designed them to defend Earth. Now we'll use them to defend the galaxy. And the troops. 10,000 volunteers already, sir. The best we have. Special forces, Marines, pilots, all trained to fight in extreme conditions. In many ways, every environment we'll face out there will be more hospitable than what we evolved in. Admiral Rodriguez looked around the chamber, meeting each leader's eyes. 200,000 years ago, our ancestors looked up at the stars and dreamed of reaching them. They didn't know that the harsh world that forged us, the gravity that shaped our bones, the oxygen that fueled our fires, the predators that sharpened our minds, all of it was preparing us for this moment. She stood straighter, her decision made. Humanity has always wondered if we were alone in the universe. Now we know we're not. And our first act as a spacefaring species will be to protect those who cannot protect themselves. Not because we're conquerors, not because we're savages, but because we are warriors who never forgot how to fight for what's right. The vote was unanimous. Within hours, humanity's response was transmitted back to the Concordat. Message received. The children of Earth stand ready. We will not allow the light of civilization to be extinguished. The warriors of humanity answer your call. As the council chamber emptied, Sarah Chen found herself staring at the tactical displays, watching the crystalline swarm's inexorable advance. The galaxy had called for help, seeking warriors in their darkest hour. They were about to discover exactly what humanity was capable of when fighting to protect others. The children of Earth were going to war among the stars, not for conquest, not for glory, but to defend those who could no longer defend themselves. The crucible that had forged humanity would now help forge a new future for the galaxy. Operation Steel Rain. Captain Diana Puttle stood on the bridge of the UES Hyperion, watching the quantum drive indicators pulse as her ship led Earth's first interstellar battle fleet through the void. 50 ships, carrying humanity's hopes and the galaxy's salvation. The tactical display showed their target. The Proxima Centauri system, where the crystalline swarm had begun their latest invasion. Quantum transition in 5 minutes, her XO, Commander Jack Torres, announced. All ships report ready for combat deployment. Diana nodded, her dark eyes fixed on the tactical display. The Concordat had provided them with quantum drive technology, allowing humanity to make this journey in hours instead of years. But the weapons they would use, those were purely human. Status of the mass drivers, she asked. All systems green. Lieutenant Sarah Wong reported from the weapons station. Mark VII kinetic penetrators loaded and ready. Each round carries a 15-ton tungsten core, accelerated to 30% light speed on impact. Pure physics. No energy weapons for the swarm to adapt to, no shields to absorb or reflect. Just unstoppable mass and momentum. Signal from Admiral Rodriguez. Torres called out. Beginning fleet-wide transmission. The Admiral's voice filled the bridge. Men and women of Earth's Defense Force, you carry with you not just the hopes of humanity, but of countless civilizations across the galaxy. They called us primitive. They called our world a death trap. But everything that made us different has prepared us for this moment. Show them why Earth's children never forgot how to fight. The quantum drive engaged, and reality twisted around them. When it stabilized, they faced their first view of an alien battlefield. The Proxima Centauri system was in chaos. Crystalline ships, each the size of a small moon, moved through space like a swarm of predatory insects. They were already breaking apart the system's outer planets, converting matter into more of their crystalline mass. Multiple Concordat ships detected, Wong reported. They're in defensive positions around the inner planets, but their weapons are having minimal effect. Diana watched as energy beams from the Concordat ships splashed harmlessly off the swarm's crystalline hulls. The enemy vessels seemed to glow brighter with each hit, absorbing and adapting to the energy weapons. "This is Captain Patel to all ships," Diana broadcast. "Execute Operation Steel Rain. Remember your training. Remember Earth. Show them what the children of a death world can do." The human fleet split into their practiced formations. Unlike the Concordat ships, which fought in rigid, predictable patterns, the Earth vessels moved like predators, using the gravity wells and debris fields to mask their approaches. Multiple swarm vessels on intercept, Torres reported. They're not even trying to evade. They don't consider us a threat. Diana allowed herself a grim smile. Let's change their minds. All ships, execute attack pattern Delta. Mass draggers target the largest crystalline vessel. Fire when ready. Across the human fleet, massive railguns extended from armored hulls. The swarm ships, adapted to energy weapons, didn't even attempt to dodge. Why should they? No energy weapon had ever penetrated their crystalline shells. Mass drivers charge, Wong announced. Firing solution locked. Fire. 50 mass drivers fired simultaneously. 100-meter tungsten rods, accelerated to relativistic speeds, crossed the space between the fleets in seconds. The swarm had no defense against such primitive weapons. They had never needed one. The impact was beyond spectacular. The kinetic energy of the rounds, combined with their near-light speed velocity, struck with the force of nuclear weapons. The largest swarm ship shattered, its crystalline structure unable to absorb or adapt to the pure physical trauma. Direct hits, Wong shouted. Multiple penetrations detected. Enemy vessel breaking apart. But the swarm was intelligent. The remaining ships immediately began to change formation, attempting to adapt to this new threat. Crystalline structures shifted, trying to create stronger lattices. They're learning, Diana observed. But so are we. All ships, execute secondary attack patterns. Switch to dispersed fire, multiple targets. Don't let them adapt to a single attack vector. The battle that followed would be studied in military academies for centuries to come. Human ships moved like wolves hunting in packs, using coordinated attacks to fragment larger swarm vessels before they could adapt. When the swarm tried to adjust their crystalline structures to better absorb kinetic impacts, the humans switched to different attack patterns, never becoming predictable. The Concordat ships watched in amazement as humanity's primitive weapons tore through defenses that had resisted their most advanced technology. The swarm, for the first time in their existence, faced an enemy they couldn't simply absorb and adapt to. Warning, Torres called out. Large crystalline formation detected. They're combining into a single structure. The surviving swarm ships merge, forming a crystalline mass larger than Earth's moon. Its surface rippled, countless facets reflecting the light of Proxima Centauri. They're trying to create a structure dense enough to withstand our weapons, Diana realized. All ships, hold position. Prepare for maximum yield strike. The combined swarm entity moved toward them, its crystalline surface now so dense it bent light around it. But Diana had studied Earth's predators, had learned from evolution's harshest lessons. Sometimes, she said, remembering her training, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. All ships execute Shatterpoint Protocol. The human fleet moved in perfect synchronization, their mass drivers targeting precise points across the crystalline surface. The physics was simple. Even the strongest crystal had natural fault lines. Fire. The combined kinetic impact struck the massive crystalline entity at exactly the right points, sending shockwaves through its entire structure. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, like a massive diamond striking concrete, the entire formation began to crack. Multiple structural failures detected, Wong reported, excitement in her voice. The crystalline matrix is collapsing. The massive entity shattered into billions of pieces, its carefully constructed density working against it as the shockwaves propagated through its structure. The debris field would serve as a warning to any future swarm incursions. Humanity had entered the galactic stage. As the dust settled, Diana received a transmission from one of the Concordat ships. The alien commander's voice held a mixture of awe and relief. The stories were true. The Deathworlders really are warriors unlike any the galaxy has seen. Diana looked at her crew, each of them standing proud at their stations. "We're not just warriors," she replied. "We're protectors. And we're just getting started." The Battle of Proxima Centauri marked humanity's first victory against the swarm, but everyone knew it wouldn't be the last. The galaxy's greatest threat had finally met its match in the children of Earth, whose primitive weapons and savage tactics had accomplished what centuries of advanced technology could not. The age of peace was over, but perhaps a new age of protection had begun. The breaking point. 3 months after the Battle of Proxima Centauri, Admiral Rodriguez stared at the tactical hologram in the UES Hyperion's war room, her face illuminated by the red dots marking swarm-controlled systems. Despite humanity's initial victory, the enemy had adapted in ways no one predicted. "They're learning," Captain Diana Patel said, pointing to footage from their latest engagement. "Look at how they've modified their crystalline structure. Multiple layers, each designed to fragment and absorb kinetic energy." The room's occupants watched as tungsten rounds that had once shattered swarm ships now exploded harmlessly against their reinforced hulls. The enemy had studied humanity's tactics and evolved countermeasures. "Casualties?" Rodriguez asked quietly. 8 ships lost in the last battle alone," Commander Torres reported. "The swarm's new defensive formations are incredibly effective against our mass drivers. They're using our own physics against us." Dr. Sarah Chin, who had joined the fleet as their chief xenobiologist, stepped forward. "But that's not the worst part. Show them the analysis of their new offensive capabilities." The hologram shifted, displaying a swarm vessel unlike any they'd seen before. Instead of pure crystalline structures, this one bristled with what looked like organic growths. "They're incorporating biological elements into their matrix," Sarah explained. "We think they harvested genetic material from the worlds they've consumed. They're not just adapting anymore. They're evolving." Admiral Rodriguez's jaw tightened. The swarm had already taken 3 more systems while humanity regrouped after their initial victory. Each world consumed only made them stronger, more adaptable. "What about the Concordat forces?" she asked. "Still holding defensive positions around their core worlds," Torres answered. "Their energy weapons are even less effective now that the swarm has adapted to both kinetic and energy-based attacks." Diana ran her hands through her short black hair, frustration evident in her gesture. "We need something new, something they can't adapt to." "Maybe," Sarah said slowly, "we need to think even more primitively." All eyes turned to her. "The swarm adapts quickly to any weapon we use, but what about their basic structure? They're still crystalline at their core." "Go on," Rodriguez encouraged. "Crystals have natural frequencies," Sarah explained. "It's basic physics. Hit the right frequency, and even the strongest crystal will shatter. We've been trying to overwhelm their defenses with brute force, but what if we could make them destroy themselves? Like an opera singer shattering a wine glass. Diana mused. But how do we find their resonant frequency? And how do we deliver enough energy at that frequency to affect their ships? Before Sarah could answer, alarms blared throughout the ship. Multiple swarm signatures detected. Torres shouted. They found us. At least 30 ships, using some kind of new FTL technology we've never seen before. Battle stations. Rodriguez ordered. All ships, combat formation Delta. The human fleet, now down to 37 ships, moved to engage. But something was different about these swarm vessels. They moved with new precision, their crystalline surfaces rippling with organic patterns. Energy spike. Torres warned. There. The first blast caught them completely by surprise. A beam of pure crystalline energy, focused through what looked like biological lenses, sliced through 2 human ships before anyone could react. The swarm had turned their crystalline nature into a weapon, using organic components to focus and direct energy in ways their pure crystal forms never could. Evasive maneuvers. Diana ordered. All ships, scatter and return fire. But the swarm pressed their advantage. More energy beams lanced out, each one more accurately targeted than the last. The human fleet's formation broke apart as ships desperately tried to avoid the devastating attacks. 6 more ships lost. Torres reported. Our kinetic rounds are barely scratching their new armor. Admiral Rodriguez watched as humanity's greatest weapons proved ineffective against the evolved swarm. But decades of military experience had taught her one thing. When conventional tactics fail, change the rules of engagement. Dr. Chen, she said sharply, your resonance theory. How quickly can you calculate potential frequencies? I have some basic calculations done, but no time for certainty. Give me your best guess. Sarah's fingers flew across her tablet. Based on their core crystalline structure, I'd start with these frequencies. She transmitted the data to tactical. Rodriguez nodded. Captain Patel, modify all remaining mass drivers. I want every round we fire vibrating at these frequencies. That'll reduce their kinetic impact, Diana warned. At this point, the kinetic impact isn't working anyway. Sometimes the smallest vibration in the right place is more effective than the strongest blow in the wrong one. The modifications took precious minutes, during which 3 more human ships were lost. But when they were ready, Rodriguez gave the order that would change the course of the war. All ships, synchronized fire. Target their flagship. Multiple impacts at different frequencies. Let's make these crystals sing. The remaining human vessels fired simultaneously. The rounds struck the swarm flagship's hull, each one vibrating at a different frequency. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, almost too fast to follow, patterns of fractures began spreading across the crystalline surface. It's working, Sarah exclaimed. The frequencies are propagating through their entire structure. The swarm flagship's surface began to shimmer, its carefully evolved crystal matrix resonating with the induced vibrations. Cracks spread like lightning through its hull, each one triggering new harmonics that created more fractures. All ships, continue firing. Rodriguez ordered. Vary your frequencies. Don't let them adapt. The human fleet pressed their advantage, each salvo carrying a different set of resonant frequencies. The swarm ships, for all their evolutionary adaptations, couldn't change their basic crystalline nature fast enough. One by one, they began to break apart, their own structure turned against them. But victory came at a heavy cost. By the time the last swarm ship shattered, the human fleet had lost 23 ships. Of the 50 vessels that had started this war, only 19 remained. As the debris field slowly expanded around them, Admiral Rodriguez looked at her surviving commanders. We've found a weakness, she said quietly, but we paid for it in blood and lives. The question is, can we exploit it before they adapt again? Sarah studied the readings from the battle. They'll try to modify their crystalline structure to resist these frequencies. But maybe, she paused, an idea forming. Maybe we can use their own evolutionary adaptations against them. Diana understood immediately. The biological components they've incorporated, they make them more vulnerable to certain types of resonance. Exactly, Sarah confirmed. They're becoming more complex, which means they have more potential frequencies that could shatter them. Rodriguez nodded slowly. Then we've got our next strategy. We'll hit them with everything we have, at every frequency we can generate. Let's show them why humanity's greatest strength isn't our weapons or our technology. What is it? Torres asked. Our ability to adapt faster than any other species in the galaxy, even crystalline ones that think they've mastered evolution. The surviving ships began emergency repairs, preparing for the battles to come. They had found a way to hurt the enemy, but the war was far from over. The swarm would adapt again, and humanity would need to be ready with new tactics, new approaches, new ways of thinking. The breaking point had come and gone, and humanity had survived. Barely, but sometimes surviving was enough to learn, to adapt, and to come back stronger than ever. Guardians of the Galaxy. The Grand Council chamber of the Concordat sparkled like a jewel, its crystalline walls ironically reminiscent of the enemy they had spent the last year fighting. Admiral Rodriguez stood before the assembled alien representatives, her dress uniform stark against their flowing ethereal garments. Dr. Sarah Chen and Captain Diana Patel flanked her, representing Earth's scientific and military achievements. High Chancellor Zix, a being of pure energy contained within an ornate environmental suit, addressed the chamber. The victory at the Battle of Sirius Prime marks a turning point in our war against the swarm. But more than that, it marks a turning point in galactic history. Holographic displays showed the battle's aftermath. Shattered swarm ships floating in space, their once impervious crystalline forms reduced to debris by precisely calculated resonance weapons. But it wasn't just the weapons that had won the day. Humanity has taught us something we had forgotten, Six continued. They showed us that true strength lies not in technological advancement alone, but in the will to survive, to adapt, and to protect others. Sarah watched the alien representatives, noting how differently they carried themselves now compared to their first meeting. Gone was the barely concealed disdain for Earth's primitive civilization. In its place was something new, respect, and perhaps a touch of envy. A Meridian delegate, their plant-like form swaying gently, spoke next. When we first contacted Earth, we saw only what we wanted to see. A harsh, primitive world that had somehow produced sentient life. We thought ourselves superior with our advanced technology and peaceful societies. Diana couldn't help but smile slightly. The same Meridian had once refused to be in the same room as Deathworlders, claiming their aggressive nature might be contagious. But now, the Meridian continued, we understand that our peaceful evolution came at a cost. We lost something vital, the strength to face adversity, the drive to overcome challenges rather than avoid them. Admiral Rodriguez stepped forward. Humanity never sought to be warriors, she said, her voice carrying across the chamber. We simply had no choice. Earth forged us in fire and gravity, taught us to survive against odds that would break most species. But what matters isn't our strength, it's how we choose to use it. The displays shifted, showing new images. Human ships escorting Concordat vessels, joint military exercises where Earth's soldiers taught alien allies basic combat techniques, and scientific collaborations where human innovation combined with alien technology. The swarm taught us all a harsh lesson. Sarah added, the galaxy needs both peace and strength. Knowledge and wisdom must be balanced with the ability to defend what we hold dear. High Chancellor Zix raised their energy form in agreement, which is why we propose a new accord. The Concordat has maintained peace through diplomacy and technological advancement. But recent events have shown we need more. We need guardians. The chamber erupted in discussion as Zix's proposal appeared on all screens, the formation of a new military force, led jointly by humanity and the Concordat species. Earth would train officers from peaceful worlds in the arts of defense and survival, while gaining access to advanced alien technology. "You want us to teach you how to fight?" Diana asked, surprised. "No," Zix corrected. "We want you to teach us how to survive, how to face adversity instead of avoiding it, how to be strong without losing our commitment to peace." A quantum collective representative, their crystalline form deliberately different from the swarm's, added, "Already, we see changes. Species that once feared physical challenges now seek to understand them. Worlds that relied solely on technology now explore biological adaptation. You've shown us there is strength in embracing our natural capabilities, not just transcending them." Rodriguez studied the proposal carefully. "And Earth, what do you offer us in return?" "Everything," Zix replied simply. "Our technology, our knowledge, our wisdom. We offer humanity a chance to temper their strength with our understanding, to become not just warriors, but guardians of all sentient life." The Admiral thought about the cost of the war, the ships lost, the lives sacrificed. But she also thought about what humanity had gained, proof that they weren't alone in the universe, and that their primitive nature had a vital role to play in galactic society. "There will be challenges," she warned. "Our methods may seem harsh to your people. We train by pushing ourselves to our limits and beyond." The Meridian delegate straightened their plant-like form. "We are ready to learn. The swarm showed us what happens when a civilization forgets how to defend itself. We will not make that mistake again." Sarah stepped forward, seeing an opportunity. "Then let's start with something basic but essential. Your species have relied on environmental suits and technology to survive different conditions. What if we taught you to adapt naturally, to strengthen your own bodies and minds?" The idea would have been dismissed as barbaric a year ago. Now representatives leaned forward, interested. The swarm had changed everything, showing that over-reliance on technology could be a fatal weakness. "We accept," Zix announced. "Earth will become the training ground for a new generation of galactic defenders. Those who wish to learn will come to your harsh world, face its challenges, and emerge stronger." Diana couldn't help but laugh. From forbidden Deathworld to Galactic Academy. Quite a promotion. "More than that," Rodriguez said quietly. "A chance to prove that humanity's greatest strength isn't our ability to fight, but our ability to teach others to protect themselves." As the chambers filled with discussions of implementation and logistics, Sarah watched the alien representatives with wonder. They had called Earth primitive, called humans Deathworlders. Now they looked to humanity not with fear or disdain, but with hope. The galaxy was changing. The age of pure peace had ended, but perhaps something better would take its place. A civilization that understood the value of both strength and wisdom, of both fighting prowess and diplomatic skill. Humanity had answered the galaxy's call for help. Now they would help forge a new future, one where the children of Earth would stand as guardians, teaching others that true strength comes not from avoiding challenges, but from facing them head-on.